Good evening to you. It's budget day, so coming up on BBC London, what some of the Chancellor's announcements on spending and taxes could mean for the capital and the pound in your pocket.
It is really bad, like getting paid once a month and ending up with £19 something in the bank at the ending of the whole month. That's got to last you.
We'll analyse what the budget could mean for you and get reaction from around the capital.
Businesses were nervous going into this budget, but has the Chancellor provided any comfort? I'll find out.
Also tonight, firefighters tackle a blaze underground in Holborn, causing significant disruption in central London. And a heartwarming hug as parents thank the paramedics who saved their teenage son's life. Hello and welcome to the programme. Finally, on this budget day that we seem to have heard so much speculation about. A number of measures were already announced in the last few days, and there were many more today. So how do the Chancellor's tax and spending measures potentially affect us here in and around the capital? Among them, the extension of the Docklands Light Railway to Thamesmead in South East London. Could it lead to thousands of new jobs and homes? London's mayor will be given the power to impose a modest so-called tourist tax on visitors staying in hotels, B&Bs and holiday lets. And then there's what's dubbed as a mansion tax, a new tax on homes valued more than £2 million, the majority of which are here in the capital. We'll break down more of what some of the budget decisions mean, and we're always keen to hear from you. Just email hello@bbc.co.uk. Let's start with reaction in Thamesmead and the DLR extension. Here's our transport correspondent, Tom Edwards.
Welcome to Thamesmead waterfront, one of the largest areas of London without a rail station. Today, news that the Docklands Light Railway will be coming here, welcomed by most in the nearby town centre. DLR link to Thamesmead, whole area is going to change. What do you make of that?
Good, it needs it. Definitely needs it here.
Thamesmead, this area is a place where there are several essential services which are lacking, like, for example, a bank, and transport is not always easy.
Will be of an advantage to the citizens that are staying in this borough.
We're still way behind the rest of East London and other parts of London, so I think it's good, you know, if it does go ahead.
The tunnelling of the first stage of the Fleet Line is now almost finished.
It has been a long time coming. The Fleet Line, now the Jubilee, was originally meant to go to Thamesmead, but it ran out of money.
It's across this area in a straight line from here that the third and final stage of the Fleet Line will be drilled.
Now, decades later, it seems that Thamesmead at last is going to get its rail link. The DLR extension will come from Galleon's Reach on the north side of the Thames through a tunnel, and the developers say it will unlock this whole area for thousands of homes. A new town will be built here with high-density housing. New homes will also be built across the river in Beckton. The whole area will be redeveloped.
It's so much more than housing. It is about new jobs. It's about bringing more leisure, culture to the area. So a town centre that really is what Thamesmead needs. At the moment, it's a place you can do a bit of shopping, but it's not somewhere you would hang out and enjoy for the weekend. And of course, if we can really start to bring forward what is effectively a real new place for Thamesmead and the wider London, it's just going to be great, actually.
Thamesmead is one of the very few postcodes in London with no train station or no tube station. And there's two big things that flow from that. One is it's very hard for people who live there now to get to work. And the other is that we can't build the homes that the area's got the potential for because people who move there won't be able to get to and from work. So extending the DLR to Thamesmead is really good news for the residents there today, but it's also good news for London.
No news, though, on a Bakerloo line extension or the West London Orbital, and the funding model here is yet to be worked out. But it seems one of London's more isolated corners will be getting a rail link. Tom Edwards, BBC London.
OK, now turning to the hospitality industry and small businesses in the capital who've stressed how they've been hit hard by previous changes to taxes and national insurance. Let's get a sense of what they think today with our work and money correspondent, Megan Owen, who's in the heart of the West End for us this evening. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Riz. Yeah, I've been speaking to businesses in central London who are really nervous going into today's budget. They're still reeling from the last one, including, of course, a rise to employer national insurance contributions. So did today bring much comfort? Well, from what I've been hearing, not really. In April, we'll see national minimum wage going up again, with the largest increases amongst younger people, and that's been welcomed by the Mayor of London. The Chancellor has also said that she will reduce taxes on hospitality, leisure and retail properties, and she'll fund that by raising business rates on premises over £500,000. She says that will be things like warehouses, but let's just remind ourselves that that will also include businesses in London's West End.
I'm feeling extremely disappointed, very frustrated. We took part in a campaign where we made it very clear what, as a sector, we needed to be able to survive. And I just feel like the government heard us and ignored us again. There's just key things that they could do to help us reduce our costs, and they've chosen to ignore all of those and have just put in place kind of piecemeal things that really won't make a difference to us.
Well, business leaders have also cautiously welcomed things like free training for apprentices under 25s in SMEs. But there's also a bit of frustration, perhaps, that VAT rates haven't been reduced either. Well, I've been speaking to the Heart of London Business Alliance.
The reality is businesses have been hit really hard. So with the wages increase, the national insurance increase, and now the business rates increase, it's a triple whammy, and there has to be a breaking point, and this might be it. That's not to say that businesses don't want to pay the proper wages. In my experience with every business I speak to, all the members that I represent, they all want good people and they're willing to pay good money for that. But if they also have to pay these higher business rates, which are quite high, astronomical you could say, then something has to give. And my concern is that they will pause recruitment even further than what they have whenever the national insurance hike was introduced.
Well, the Chancellor today was very clear in her message that this is all about bringing down the costs for working people. But businesses I've spoken to today say that once again, they feel that they've been left out of the picture.
OK, Megan, thanks very much. That's Megan Owen there in the West End. Well, let's talk through some of the budget with our political editor, Carl Mercer, and the chief executive of the independent think tank Centre for London, Antonia Jennings. Get my words out there. A lot to digest. Antonia, can I start with you? Your broad take.
So we know that London is facing a huge number of challenges on all fronts. So we know one child on average in every classroom lives in temporary accommodation. We know that after Londoners pay for their housing costs, around 1 in 4 of us are sat in poverty. And institutionally as well, we know that councils that are receiving emergency funds from central government, a third of them sit in London. So what I would say today is we've seen a budget that has done a number of small things to help those challenges, however, haven't really met the scale of need and kind of ambition required for policy and budgeting in the capital.
OK, so a broad picture there, Carl. Just turning to some of the specifics, the DLR was a win for London and was expected?
Expected, announced, re-announced, pre-announced, post-announced. I mean, it's been going on for months, actually, hasn't it, the whole talk about the DLR. But it was a big ask for London, not just for the Mayor, I think for local authorities as well, businesses, house builders. It will open up something like 25,000 new homes in that area. And as Tom said in his report there, they've been trying to get to Thamesmead for 50 years, but they ran out of money last time. Let's hope they don't this time round. But it is, I think you'd agree, Antonia, quite a big win for London there.
It is a win for London. I mean, it's one of a suite of transport asks that the capital has had. On top of that, we know that it's going to link up that new town, which is really, really crucial for actually getting people to want to live there. Of course, we know the new town is going to unlock some 25,000 homes, and on top of that as well, 10,000 jobs. So it is a good win. However, the money and the numbers that are being talked about with regards to the DLR extension really pale in insignificance. They're 1 to 2% of, for example, what we got for the Elizabeth line.
And in terms of things, as you said, Carl, previously announced, tourist tax.
Yeah, free money for London, sort of. It could raise around £250 million a year. I think arguments still to be had actually over who gets the money and who gets to give it out. But like I said, the Mayor has been lobbying for this for ages, so have Central London councils in particular, and this was the Mayor's reaction when I spoke to him a bit earlier.
I'm going to work really closely with those in hospitality. I'm going to work really closely with those in tourism, those in the business community, and with our councils to get the best possible scheme in terms of a tourism levy. We want to encourage more tourists, but I know from somebody who's visited cities across the globe, if it's great to see, I don't mind paying an extra couple of quid. And I know from the work we've done since 2017 that tourists coming to London want a great experience.
And that is, of course, something that other cities do impose. Talking of taxes, this so-called mansion tax disproportionately affect London and the home counties.
We know absolutely that the mansion tax is going to disproportionately affect London, but we also know that London property tax is a bit of a mess. So the two main taxes that people pay on their properties are generally stamp duty and council tax. And actually, each of those are known to be widely problematic taxes. Council tax, of course, bases its rates on 1991 values, so it's completely distorting of the market. And similarly, we have a real problem in the London market with under-occupation. So essentially, those homes that aren't being rented, half of those are currently underoccupied, often family homes where children have left the nest. So what we're seeing is in the London system, both lots of hurdles to get onto the housing ladder, but also disincentives to get out of those larger homes. So it's a step in the right direction, but we need whole-scale reform.
And I think there's a danger as well, isn't it, that it might distort the market. And we were talking earlier and you're saying, look, you're just going to end up with loads of homes that are 1.9999 million as well. So there was a potential effect on the whole housing market there.
Absolutely, and ultimately the government's proposal, it will go out for consultation, but is to essentially create new bands at the top end, so at the sort of 2 million.
The start of that process, in effect.
Hopefully it will be, but we would suggest that actually we need to gut both of those taxes and instead just charge people a proportional rate of tax depending on the value of their home, so that the richest Londoners are paying the most and conversely the poorest pay the less.
And Carl, something that is sort of pretty obvious today is that this is a series of many, many small measures rather than one or two big ones. So this, it can take a little longer to dig into the detail and the potential effects.
Yeah, and I think some of the detail that particularly local authorities will be waiting for won't come until December, and the policing allocation won't come until the new year. And I think those are both crucial for London, because as Antonia was saying earlier, something like a quarter of London councils are already begging for money from the government. This is kind of to get them out of poverty could go up to something like half of the boroughs. So I think those things will be crucial as well into how the city functions.
Absolutely, and it's worth noting as well that councils are about to, as per Labour's pledge, move to 3-year funding settlements. So that should allow them to do a little bit more planning. But linking back to that tourist tax point, inevitably those central London boroughs are going to raise the vast majority of it. So how is that going to be fairly distributed across the city?
And just one final point that we've been hearing this hour, and it is about the sort of pound in your pocket, and that is about sort of tax thresholds, but also the raising of the minimum wage.
Yeah, minimum wage will great if you're 18 to 20 because it will go up 8%. Not so good if you're employing lots of 18 to 20-year-olds. So I think particularly hospitality industry will have concerns about that. And the income tax banding, by freezing the thresholds, more people will end up paying the higher rate of tax. And because Londoners earn a bit more Londoners will end up, I think, paying the 40% tax.
Absolutely. The estimates are saying at the moment that there will be around 60,000 Londoners that are pulled into that sort of lowest tax threshold. And then on top of that, we know that, of course, there are initiatives such as the two-child benefit cap being lifted, which is a good thing, but there are a couple of things that are set to offset each other.
OK. For now, I think there's going to be a lot more to reflect on in the coming days. But to you both, thank you very much indeed. It's really good to have you here. Thank you. Well, what about you? How are you feeling today? There is, as I mentioned, a lot to digest, and different elements will affect people in various ways. So thank you very much for getting in touch with your thoughts, because we can join Luxmi in the BBC London lounge to share some of them. Hi there.
Riz, yes, thank you. We've had lots of reaction from you. We've heard from some of you at a cafe in Elephant and Castle, where the feeling seemed to be that times are tough and what help there has been from today's budget just isn't enough. Have a look.
Minimum wage has gone up. Well, it's good it's gone up, but it's not good enough though, is it?
Things are hard. Things are hard really for the pensioners and adults, because the weather is changing and it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult.
I think it would have been nice to have something that affects normal people, like run-of-the-mill people like me, I suppose, where you've not got the pension, you don't have electric car, I've only had the one child. It's been nice to see something more in the lines of maybe more child benefit for those with small children that are struggling, and also for the people that can't afford the food and things like the heating for the old people.
So some of the views from you at that cafe. But we've also had some positive responses via email from some of you, including about the fully funded apprenticeships for under 25s at small to medium businesses. Adam from Southall says he's really pleased with this. The 21-year-old trainee accountant says it makes him feel more secure in his role. He also welcomed the rise in the minimum wage announced today, saying that it recognises the cost of living. Now, on the other side of the coin is Rollo from Walthamstow. Now, he owns Nourished Communities retail stores. He says today was disappointing. He says it doesn't do enough for small to medium businesses following what he calls aggressive increases in business rates, national insurance contributions. Employer contributions went up in April this year, the London living wage and employment rights. Now, one of the things many of you mentioned was the high cost of living in London, including Jamie from Southwark. He and his wife are looking to buy their first home, and he says there's nothing in the budget to help young working families who want to young working couples, I should say, who want to begin a family. Jamie says he and his wife have been paying into a lifetime ISA, and he's unhappy with what's happening to them because today's budget says there's a plan to replace them altogether. Maria, who's also in Southwark, says while there are some positives, such as the removal of the two-child benefit cap, she says we shouldn't have had to beg this Labour government for months to remove it. You might remember there was a lot of pressure on the government from campaigners and from some of their own MPs who long called for the cap to be removed. Now, you heard a little bit earlier about the so-called mansion tax. Well, Maria laments the lack of a wealth tax, and that's something that's also been mentioned by Zach. He says it's bonkers. He says millions of ordinary people will pay more because of the income tax threshold freeze, while he says billionaire wealth is protected, and he says that we'll miss out on some of the investment needed to stop our generation, I should add, Zach is 25, he says, to stop our generation becoming the first to be poorer than our parents and to stop the climate crisis. Well, those are just some of your views. Thank you so much for getting in touch with them, and sorry we couldn't fit them all in, but if you want to know any more details about some of the aspects that we've covered already, or about any of the other ways in which the budget announced today will affect you, then you can find out more on bbc.co.uk. Riz.
Yeah, lots of really good information there. Luxmi, thanks ever so much. And thank you, of course, for getting in touch with your views. Let's turn now to other stories making the headlines today. A man accused of murdering two women 5 months apart has appeared at the Old Bailey via video link. Cheryl Wilkins was found dead in Tottenham in August, and Carmenza Valencia Trujillo was discovered in Woolworth in March. 42-year-old Simon Levy was remanded in custody and is due back in court in February. Several people have been arrested after farmers drove tractors into central London for a budget day protest despite police restrictions. Many came to protest about plans to introduce inheritance tax on farming land and businesses. The National Cyber Security Centre says it's assessing the extent of a major cyber attack on several London councils. Kensington and Chelsea Council has confirmed it is dealing with a cyber security issue, adding that Westminster City Council and Hammersmith and Fulham have also been impacted. Experts are now focusing on protecting systems and data, restoring systems and maintaining critical public services. And you can, of course, find more stories and the latest updates where you live on your local BBC News website or via the BBC News app. Firefighters have been tackling a blaze underground in Holborn. It broke out this morning, bringing significant disruption to part of the city. London Fire Brigade say it's a complex operation. Bryony Williams reports.
This dramatic footage shows the street-level view of a fire in an underground utilities tunnel just metres away from Holborn Tube Station. The blaze involved high-voltage electric cables, and over 70 firefighters worked to bring it under control.
This is expected to be a prolonged operation, given the complexity of tackling a fire within an underground electrical tunnel system. Firefighters are working closely with partner agencies to safely bring the incident under control, minimising disruption.
Due to the safety cordon around Southampton Row, bus routes in the area had to be diverted.
Where are you going?
And the police were on hand to redirect traffic as multiple roads were closed.
Well, I've spoken to people who have businesses on Bloomsbury Square. They said the fire alarms went off and they evacuated from their buildings and went out to the square where they saw plumes of smoke coming up from the drains. It's not yet known when they'll be allowed back into their places of work.
A drone was used to assist the operation, and once the power was isolated, crews using breathing apparatus entered the tunnel to tackle the blaze. The cause of the incident is not yet known, and London Fire Brigade are investigating. Bryony Williams, BBC London.
Now to a life-saving skill that a teenager from Dagenham is keen for his classmates and students in all schools, in fact, to learn. It's after his life was saved by emergency CPR after his heart suddenly stopped. 6 months on, Oliver and his parents have been reunited with the London ambulance team who treated him. Thomas McGill has the story.
I'm going to push down hard and fast. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Life-saving lessons for these students at a very special class.
Concentrate on pushing down on that bit of your hand. Bit harder. Nice straight elbows. Good.
These teenagers from Joe Richardson Community School in Dagenham are being taught how to do CPR. Skills many think will be super helpful in the future.
I think it's very important to take this course on and learn it, because then I can go on to showing family and friends on how to also save lives and take that initiative.
Me taking some time out of my day to learn is a very key thing to do.
Really helpful, because I found skills that I couldn't even know from yesterday, and today I could use those skills to potentially help more people.
We're here today because Ollie had a cardiac arrest.
This is the brainchild of 17-year-old Ollie, whose life was saved after he needed emergency CPR at home back in May.
How are you? Doing better?
Yeah,
doing better? Yeah. Well, it was under different circumstances.
Yeah. 6 months on, and it's a chance for Ollie and his parents to thank the paramedics who saved his life.
It's all right. Well, they clearly worked, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much.
It's nice to meet the actual people that were there on the scene and help me. I'm so grateful for that. Thank you.
It's really reassuring and happy for me to see you walking, talking, going about your life, because obviously, like I said before, the last time we met it was under very different circumstances.
And we're going to look, listen and feel for 10 seconds to see if the patient is breathing.
Now Ollie wants to see today's special event expanded across all of London and for all students.
I guess to make it mandatory for everyone to, whilst they're in education, learn CPR. It doesn't necessarily matter what year. I'm living proof that it can happen to anyone, anywhere, whether that be in school, at home, out in public. So everyone should learn it.
And that's something the London Ambulance Service already supports through their own special schools programme.
We've delivered it to nearly 20,000 children across London in over 200 schools. And it's fantastic. We need to teach it to children because they're the age that they will take it home, they will teach their parents, they will teach all their friends, and they will go on and keep that skill for life.
So lessons over, and the students here are leaving not just with new skills, but the confidence to use them in the unfortunate event they need to. Thomas McGill, BBC London.
OK, now just before the weather, if you missed it yesterday or because it gives you a festive feeling, the Christmas lights on the UK's tallest building have been switched on. This year, designed actually by one of the skyscraper's housekeeping team. They'll be lighting up the London skyline in different colours and patterns, joining other illuminations right across the capital. Good to see. And with that, it is time for a check on the weather with Kate, who is here. Hi there. And you did mention it's going to get a little milder, but I can see frost behind you.
Yes, it is getting milder, I promise. Not quite yet, but overnight tonight, the temperature is rising. Now, this was first thing this morning. It was really chilly last night, down at -3, if not a little below in some places. Widespread hard frost. It really did take a bit of an effort to get the frost off windscreens this morning. But it was a day with sunshine, really quite pleasant. Some high cloud, as you can see here later on in the day. But, like I said, plenty of sunshine to enjoy. However, this is all going to change. Now, the sunshine was brought to you courtesy of this high-pressure system, but through the day, this warm front has been slowly making its way towards us, and into this evening, the cloud from that warm front is moving across, and with that, we've got some rain as well. Now, you'll notice the temperatures. They start off around 4 or 5 first thing this evening, but by dawn tomorrow, they're actually rising as that warm front moves through. So 10 Celsius as we get up tomorrow, quite the contrast to the temperatures we had first thing this morning. So very mild start tomorrow. Now, the rain should clear overnight. That's the rain associated with the front, but it leaves us with a legacy of mist and murk and cloud. You might get a couple of spots of rain. Temperatures, though, tomorrow shoot right the way up into the mid-teens to 14 Celsius. Again, quite the contrast to the last few days. So very mild through the course of Thursday. Now, over Thursday night, you'll see this cold front move through. Now, it doesn't really replace that milder air, only perhaps a little bit. It's still going to be relatively mild. Now, that front, as it reaches us on Thursday night, fizzles out a bit. Still, we're going to get a little bit of rain, but it will clear by dawn on Friday. Minimum temperature, again, still above 0, despite that cold front moving through, 6 to 9 Celsius. So, bright start as we head into Friday. On the whole, it's not looking too bad for the morning, at least. Lots of sunshine. Quite a breezy day for Friday, though. That southwesterly breeze bringing that mild air in still with us. Through the afternoon, some showers. There's a small chance for rumble of thunder. Temperatures on Friday still up at 13 Celsius. It is, however, going to change again at the weekend. Not so much temperature-wise. It will drop a little bit as we head through the weekend, but it's turning more unsettled. Low pressure takes charge, so we're looking at some rain moving through on Saturday. Perhaps a little drier by Sunday when it does completely clear, but those temperatures a little cooler by the end of the weekend. Riz?
Gosh, it really is keeping us on our toes, and you. Kate, thanks very much indeed. And that is it from us this Wednesday on Budget Day. You can, of course, see some of the key measures at a glance and what the budget could mean for London and how it could affect you on our website and on the BBC News app. You can find other stories, though, on our BBC London Instagram and Facebook. From me and all the team, thanks very much for watching. Take care. Bye.